Joining me now for some analysis of this week's dramatic events is John Brummett of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, political columnist for them. Thank you for being here and welcome.
Always good to be with you.
We had a national moment this week. This hearing this week and everything that led up to it and things that have happened subsequently was cathartic, I think, for many women in America, and expanded our dialogue in politics as well as just our humanity, I think, to a big extent. What is your take on what you saw unfold from a woman's perspective and from a national perspective?
Well, last week, a woman called me and told a story from decades before that she had never told anyone except her husband, and I wrote about it. And you told me you'd had such a story, and you have not told of such a story. And I was at the Life Quest class this week, and I repeated the story the woman had told me about her being abused decades ago as a 15 or 16-year-old girl. And I said to about 300 people, with more women than men, I bet many of you know stories like that. And there were nods. And I said, I'm sensing many of you could tell me stories like that. And it was overwhelming nodding. On C-SPAN yesterday, as Thursday, as Dr. Ford was testifying, women were calling to tell their stories. So it's liberating. It is cathartic. You have to wonder now if the outcome of it, the outcome of the hearing, and how it all played out, if that cathartic effect or cathartic benefit of it is set back somewhat by the fact that Dr. Ford came forward and told her story, and probably to no avail in terms of the outcome of the judicial nomination, and whether that takes a cathartic exercise and makes it more an exercise of resentment and bitterness. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I mean, what all of those are factors in what is a major moment, as big a moment as I've seen in years.
Yeah, you think it compares to? I mean, does it come?
No, I don't. I harken back to Anita Hill, Clarence Thomas, but there's so much. We've evolved so much since then. So much has happened, attitudes have so changed that this is bigger in every respect.
Well, I brought you here for some political analysis too. So how do you think this plays out? Now, basically, if you want to just cut to the chase, the Democrats took their best shot, and I don't think it changed any Democratic minds, and I think it didn't change any Republican minds either. They stayed with their guy there. What happens politically now? Do we just remain as divisive as we are? Does it put a stick of dynamite in a tinderbox now in terms? I mean, we saw some explosiveness on the committee from members yelling at each other this past week in a highly visible way.
I think we had two moments. I think the moment we just described, and the other is that it's a new, dynamite in a tinderbox. Yes, it's a new level of dysfunction and bitter resentment in our supposedly leading deliberative body that renders it dysfunctional in terms of serving a solution that the country can live with acceptably. I think we go forward from this with resentments heightened far beyond what they already were. And I'm just what you hear, social media, what I get in the way of support for my views, what I get in the way of anger from people opposed to my views, and there's simply no ability to work through any of that. You either think that one side disregarded and refused even to investigate a woman's wrenching allegation, or you think that the other side trumped up a bogus charge merely for political advantage in the midterms. And there's no moving from those polls, it seems to me. And the emotions are so not just strong, but they seem embedded. And I don't.
And raw too. I mean,
very raw.
it wasn't just partisan; it was hyper partisan in terms of the reaction from everyone.
I think I think those senators, some of them, were on the verge of just shouting at each other openly and calling names. You know, the courtesies of the senator. You don't make personal attacks, and of course, Lindsey Graham didn't make a personal attack. He didn't call out any particular one. He just talked about all of you Democrats, what a sham you are. I've not seen, and I've been covering politics for a long time, and I've seen anger and resentment. I've not seen it at this level, and I've not seen it at such a seemingly on such a seemingly insurmountable basis that it's hard to find a middle ground between Kavanaugh's indignity and Ford's story. Where's the middle ground on that? I think it's, let's do her the courtesy of an FBI investigation to see what facts they can come up with. I think that would be the middle ground. But the Republicans think that you're somehow conceding to a political hit job if you do that. So we're just at a uncommon impasse that's troubling for our politics.
Well, we'll see how it plays out in the midterms. I've heard from all sides and a couple of different perspectives that this could be energizing for the Republican base because they get their person on the Supreme Court, it would appear, and it's could be demoralizing for Democrats because that happened. It could be an energizing force for Democrats in the midterms because they can say it's time for us to galvanize and mobilize and push even harder. So do you have a sense of what it may be from that perspective? Do you think it falls one direction or the other? Do you think it energizes both bases?
I think what I just said, I mean, in terms of the uncommon, insurmountable dysfunction and bitterness, I think that fires everybody up for the midterms. And I think these become the most interesting, perhaps consequential midterms of our time. Midterms are supposed to be, well, not highly attended. Voters don't turn out that much, and the regulars vote, and then they don't mean as much as the presidential elections. With this happening right now, and with sentiment the way it is, I think women, many women, not all women, but many women are uncommonly angry and are going to be more motivated than before. And the Republicans, as you say, now have victory. They have got their guy on the court,
and that may mobilize some Republican women too.
Yes. So I look for a rare midterm experience that's going to have strong emotion, and it's going to have strong consequence.
Not to take away from the seriousness of this moment, but there is always the possibility that Donald Trump inserts something new in the news between now and the midterms that changes the whole dynamic. We've seen it 1,000 times, and it is possible that we get more curveballs between now and election day.
That's just a standard factor we've always got to acknowledge.
He's John Brummett with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Thanks
you
for
bet.
being here.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
All right. A quick break. We're back to talk about what's happening in Northwest Arkansas, why that economy is so red hot. Economist Mervyn Jebaraj joins us right after this.